It is. It's never easy. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, so let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the September the 9th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. KistlerLawFirm.com, that's one word. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Benched, the app. Never pick up a zero. If you don't fill in your fantasy roster, download Benched, the app today. Okay, how do we say it, right? I kind of mentioned it this morning when I did a brief recap. I did say it'd be a six-point game. It was a 6-point game. It just wasn't a 41-35 Rams win. And it's a great reminder that if you do bet, don't listen to me because I don't know how to bet. But before we dive all into this, it just seems to go with the territory. Anytime any fan-based team loses an overtime game, all the whining about the OT rules start. And, they are always, they're just always complaining. They are what they are, right? Deal with it. I didn't like the Rams losing, but this whole idea, the culture of fairness, right? It's not fair that Matthew Stafford didn't get a second shot. You know what? They lost the coin flip. They didn't stop the Lions. And I did like the adjustment. I'm going to say this. No one remembers, of course. 20 years ago, I wrote a column called FanView for the local paper. And I said exactly how this is set up is that unless it ends with a touchdown, a game shouldn't end with a field goal in overtime. And that's sure enough how the NFL eventually set it up. If they wanted to go to the college rule, everyone gets the ball at the 25 and something like that. Then after 2 rounds, you make it, a 2-point conversion. Okay, but honestly, I don't care. And I'm so sick of the whiny refrain of, well, it's I knew the Rams were going to lose because the team that gets the ball first always wins. Well, then you must not be a Ram fan because the Rams the Saints got the ball first in the 2018 NFC title game, played in January of 2019, and they were at home, and they lost, and the Rams won. Dante Fowler, J.J. Johnson, big pick, just like last night. And so, yeah, I'm really not up with the whole they got to change the overtime rules. Maybe the kickoff rules, but not the overtime rules. Okay, so by coming on today at 5, just before the 49ers and Jets kickoff, Puka Nacua is going on the IR. He'll be gone for 4 weeks. And likely so will Steve Avila, although it's not sure about Avila yet. Nakua's got a sprained PCL. Avila has a sprained MCL. And then, you double down on that as Joe Noteboom is injured with his high ankle sprain. He'll be out for a couple weeks. We knew about Alaric Jackson, who's not hurt, but we also knew about Havenstein and his foot. And then news leaked out last night about Kevin Dotson's foot and that he was in a walking boot. And so it almost makes a perfectly clean slate this summer of some issue happening to the Rams offensive line. The entire offensive line, to one extent or another, has been wiped out, right? Alaric Jackson suspension, Avila MCL. Jonah Jackson, who played well last night, the scapula thing that hit in August, and then Dotson's foot, Havenstein's foot, Noteboom's ankle. It's like, oh my gosh. McVay in his interview actually said that Noteboom's not going to be playing. So left tackle should be up in the air. I don't know if it's going to be a Curry. Can you move McClendon over to left tackle when he's been taking all of his snaps at right tackle and then maybe get Havenstein back in the lineup? Looks like Jonah Jackson's going to be the left guard. McVay expressed a lot of confidence in Bo Limmer, that he's answered the call every time he gets an opportunity. So I could see Bo Limmer starting at center. I could see Jonah Jackson at left guard. Kevin Dotson, they said it's kind of day-to-day. If not him, it's going to be Logan Bruss. And then what's up in the air with Havenstein and McClendon. Either way, the Rams are an offensive lineman short, a couple of offensive linemen short. And so you have to expect that some moves will be made. especially if you got to believe if Nobum has a high ankle sprain, what is that, 2 to 3 weeks to recover anyway? Couldn't he be a candidate for the IR as well? And then that would give the Rams room to go out and find somebody. I know I saw the buzz already was David Bakhtiari, right? If he's in shape, I'll take anything at this point. I think so would Matthew Stafford. But just something to think about as the Rams get ready for Arizona, right? We're on to Arizona. Regarding other Rams stuff, the best quote that I saw in the McVay interview was he said, "We didn't operate off of anything of what our game plan was because everyone just kept going down." That's Terozian's paraphrase. But that's true. That's where the Rams were. And you have a game plan, and it affects everything. And so he was out the window pretty fast. Hey, guys, I see your questions piling up. Thanks for joining us. I know we're bumping into Monday Night Football. I'm contemplating making Monday's broadcast start at 4 p.m., and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this looks today, and then we'll attack that next week. But, hey, the good news we talked about this morning as well, Rams didn't roll over and die, right? Rams did not roll over and die, down 17-3, all the injuries. And I'm just going to say it, if Matthew Stafford is still standing and healthy going into next year and wants to play for the Rams, I say if he asks for one more penny than Dak Prescott, you give it to him because Matthew Stafford just was amazing last night. Yeah, you could talk about the pick in the end zone, right? Patrick Mahomes throws picks, but with everything that Stafford was dealing with last night, I thought he was amazing. Be my quarterback anytime. Down 17-3 on the road, hostile environment, to a Super Bowl contender with the best offensive line in football, and the Rams rallied, retook the lead. And again, as we shared, Kobe Durant holds on to that pick at midfield, which was a spectacular play. The outcome is different. Also, maybe, just maybe, if Kyron Williams stays in bounds, boy, that was a bad mistake for a third-year pro. If he stays in bounds, forces the Lions to burn a timeout or take it down to the 2-minute warning, might be a different thing. I don't want to hear, I heard a little bit of that card being played. I really don't want to hear the Aaron Donald card of what happened in OT wouldn't have happened if AD was there. Yeah, it would have. These teams would have been burned out. Maybe Donald makes a play, but the Lions have the best offensive line in football. If not second best, it's right up there, 1-2. And at that point in the game, the Rams were exhausted. You could see it. They were exhausted. Both teams were exhausted. And they took it to the Rams. And again, I would say there was a little more fear and terror probably on the Detroit side. You can't come out in your Super Bowl season, it's supposed to be a Super Bowl season, opening your thing at home against your now who's becoming an arch rival that's outside of your division, and you can't blow a 17-3 lead at home. And so I think there was a little fear there. And, hey, the Lions are a good team, What did Riff say about the Sharks? He says, hey, they're down boys. They want a piece of this world too, buddy boys. And that's what the Lions want. They want a piece of this world too. And so they're tough as well. Good showing by the Rams. And I think, again, we know a Curry doesn't get busted for the hold. Durant holds on to the pick. And maybe Warren McClendon doesn't get called for a false start. Stafford doesn't throw the interception. Everyone's going back to the going for it on fourth down. I don't think that was a big issue. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Finally, before we get to the meat of it, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is back. At least he looks something similar to his 2021 version, which was great to see. The toe tap on the sideline. I'm in the Ram cave with my former Mid-Valley staff, and we couldn't believe he stayed in bounds. It was just amazing, right? And so good. That's good news. And the Rams, knock on Formica, seem to have found a kicker in Josh Carty, because none of those boots last night in that environment raised any concern. And that was a pure playoff environment, right? That game was that felt like a season-ending game. The team that lost that game was playing like their season was going to come to an end. So, all right, guys, I do see the questions building. I promise I'll get to them. Around the NFL and other places, Dak Prescott, 4 years, 240 rocks, 60 rocks a year. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it later. I'm going to say it now. That win over Cleveland feels like fool's gold. And for 60 rocks a year for Dak Prescott, shouldn't that require a Super Bowl win, right? But I think they'll declare it a success even if the Cowboys have a mere Super Bowl appearance and loss. I don't dislike Dak, but he's just not that kind of quarterback. Dallas should have offered CeeDee Lamb around for a first rounder before the draft, collected some draft capital, and made a move in the draft this last spring for a quarterback, one of those quarterbacks coming out. They should have, and now they got 4 more years. It feels like 4 more years of the same, right? Dallas is always a Super Bowl contender in September and always subject of angst come January, right? Second, going back to the Friday night game in Brazil, for those stressing about Stetson Bennett being the backup quarterback of the Rams, did you see who the Packers brought in when Jordan Love went down with his high ankle sprain? Yeah, Malik Willis. So this backup quarterback business is not unique to the Rams, guys. Not unique to the Rams at all. I just saw something come across the boards here. Christian McCaffrey inactive tonight. I saw that about 20 minutes ago. It's already starting in Frisco. Already starting. Awesome. I did make mention of coaches that would be on the hot seat if they lost this weekend, and none of them lost. Nick Sirianni won. Sean McDermott had to come back from 17-3 to win. Dennis Allen and NOLA, New Orleans, absolutely crushed Carolina. I'm ready to put Dave Canales, the Carolina head coach, on the hot seat. Eberflus won that ugly game in Chicago. Gerard Mayo won in New England. Mike McCarthy blew out the Browns, and Mike Tomlin got away with it. He got away with Justin Fields. So all the coaches who were supposed to be on the hot seat all won. We'll keep them there. We'll keep talking about them. Also, before we go to break here, a lawsuit was filed today in Houston against Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, right? As they're accusing him of committing a sexual assault and battery on a date from October of 2020. Why the pause? Why the wait? That makes it suspect. But Deshaun Watson, man, choices, right? Choices of where he's going to throw the ball and just choices. This guy, man, and they're stuck with him. They did a whole breakdown of how much the Browns still owe him. The KBM, it was one of the Fox channels. I heard it when I was prepping. And they're on the hook. They're just on the hook another 2 years because they owe him so much money. All right, my name is Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. And now, thanks to Kistler Law, I get to do RamView. And as I do RamView, I also write books. My latest book is Game Day in the Ram Cave. It's a fictional account of an NFC championship game between the Rams and the Packers. And my timing was better. I should have put the Rams and the Lions, but it was the Rams and the Packers that popped the thought. And it's doing really well. I thank you guys for purchasing it. If you get a chance, please take an opportunity to buy this and then leave a review. If it sucks, it sucks. But had fun writing it. Had a nightmare getting it out, but thank you so much. So the books and RamView support me in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube called Burbank Faith Virtual, as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. So we say thank you to our sponsors and also our new sponsor, Bench the app. Yesterday, I was getting ready to go, and T. Higgins was in my starting lineup, and then, of course, he wasn't. But thanks to Bench the app, my roster was full. Tired of losing your fantasy games because you forgot to check your lineup? With Benched, that's a thing of the past. Benched is the only app that ensures you never leave a non-starting player in your lineup. Don't miss out on crucial points. Don't be the one who forgot to bench a player on game day. Win your league, keep your pride, deliver the spite, and let Benched handle the rest. Download Bench today and dominate your fantasy season. All right, let's look at some of the questions that have rolled in on this Del Scorcho Monday afternoon. JD Durham, so close. Yeah, that's the frustrating part, right? I think when your team's blown out, it is what it is, and you know it by the halftime or the third quarter, and you're already dealing with it, right? And you're saying, okay, that's what it is. But this felt like, even though it was different, it felt like those games last year against Pittsburgh, Philly, Cincy, those Baltimore. It felt like those games were just just those little things were out of reach. And I do think if things were just a slightly bit different, the Rams would have won. I do think it raises some concerns. In fact, our chief sponsor, Paul Kistler, said he wrote me this last night, with everything that happened to the Rams, he felt positive coming out of the game, but that Detroit shouldn't feel so positive. And I tend to agree. Detroit had had a team at home down 17-3. Now, granted, it's a grit-filled good Ram team, but everyone was dropping like flies, and they needed OT to put the Rams away. And they needed a busted coverage by Trey White to get that one touchdown. They had some struggles. I think what they did at the end is something they need to do more of, is pound that rock. So it was a good point by Mr. Kistler. USA expat. High ankle sprains are not good. They take much longer time to properly heal. And if we're talking about Joe Noteboom, then to me, he would be a candidate for the IR. JD Durham, hope you guys get better. Thank you. USA expat, big fan of Big Bo already. Yeah, everything across my boards where people are becoming Bo Limmer fans right now. Are they going to transfer some Bo Limmer love, that everything they've been wanting to give Creed Humphrey to Bo Limmer? From our lips to the football god's ears, right? Tim Burns loves Anzalone, linebacker for the Lions. He's more impressive than Jack Campbell, isn't he? That first open field tackle on Kyron was impressive. It was. Sal, thank you for joining us, Sal. I don't know if I've answered a question from you before. If the Rams offense can ever get healthy, watch out. Absolutely. That's the part that's just frustrating us so much, right? It's just frustrating. Look what the Rams did with Tyler Johnson, Demarcus Robinson, Colby Parkinson, and Cooper Kupp, right? And we were talking about in the Ram Cave, it's like there's just times when Kupp is right. It doesn't make any difference who's playing alongside of him. But if it's Puka Nacua at full tilt, man, this offense is just going to be special. And I like to give credit to that offensive line. I thought for everything that happened, even to AJ Curry, McClendon, I thought they did a fair job. And I think we're going to talk about their PFF grades. I think they got kind of hosed by PFF. But we'll talk about that here on the other side. Tim Powers, Lion cheap shots continue from last year. Puka rough up going out of bounds. Stafford's lowered leg sweep, cheap shot artist. Did you notice that? You're the first person that has said that to me, Mr. Powers. If any of you know it, let me know. JD Durham is the best. I think he's talking about Anzalone. Let me know, JD. Steve Ramirez, Hall of Fame performance by Matthew Stafford. Absolutely Hall of Fame performance. You see, Steve, you know what you see with your eyes, and you don't have to defer to the grading system that PFF used. Wait till you hear Stafford's grades. It's unbelievable. Tim Burns, I want to say Matt Ariza getting a gig with KC makes this Aztec happy. I'm glad he's in a quality program with ownership, and I hope he's retained a lawyer, Mr. Burns, because he needs to sue the NFL for getting rid of him on false charges and not letting due process play out, because he was blackballed because of how the NFL wants to have CYA on everything. He should get a lawyer and sue these dudes for some back salary and make them pay, and then go after that girl. I mean, that's what I would do. You could forgive, but you got to drive home a point here. You have to be punitive when someone makes a false accusation. Let's see. Tim Burns, Cardiaz's career 100% field goals. Like I said, knock on Formica. Steve Ramirez, riff. You have to be my age to get a riff joke. Okay, but I thought that was a good line. About the Sharks being real down boys and they want a piece of this world too, buddy boys. Yeah, I thought so. Brian Smith, Cardi still scares me. I didn't feel that way. I felt by the time he made the last kick, nothing was that going either way. And then in that environment where it was loud, it was high pressure, I came away feeling good about Cardi. Tim Burns, Kupp is my dude. We have to pray he gets through week 9. Okay, why week 9? How about how about February the 20th? Let him stay healthy till February the 20th. There we go. Brian Smith, don't bring back Kuva unless he's 100%. Puka unless he's 100%. Don't want to see a gimpy Puka like Kupp was all last season. Yeah, put him on IR, and the Rams have put him on IR, and I think that's a smart move. JD Durham and a halfback. I'm sorry, JD, I'm missing you there. And Dallas. Okay, let me know, and I'll answer that one, Chief. I'm missing that one there. Let's see here. USA expat. What is your Ram crystal ball saying? The second half of the season where all this bad luck evens out, or another here we go again injury plagued season? I like the depth a little better. I think Logan Bruss is further along than Tremaine Ankrum. I think Warren McClendon is a little bit further along than some others. Bo Limmer is a revelation, right? And I don't think it's going to be a 2022, because that was And that was something that was like such an anomaly. That was something that first time since 1969, those combinations, 14 different starters on the offensive line. That was just an unprecedented, historic collapse of the offensive line in 2022. And people try to make 2022 as the Rams having a Super Bowl hangover or paying the bill coming due. The stupid argument about that, and it wasn't. It was an epic, unprecedented, storm of the century on that offensive line. And I think you could have injuries. I think you could lose somebody for a long stretch, but I don't think it's going to be the whole season. That's my outlook. Tim Powers. Williams looks unsure on fielding punt by retreating and last second jump on the ball. He's going to cause a turnover. I did not understand what was going on with Kyron Williams on diving on that ball. Yeah, especially that one. It's like, what are you doing, Chief? What are you doing? I do not know. Brian Smith, hope Jets can pressure Purdy tonight. I hope so. Purdy is like one of the last men standing in the team that's playing me in a fantasy league, and he doesn't have Christian McCaffrey. I imagine Trent Williams is going to start, but maybe he'll be a little rusty. Go Jets, huh? When you're a Jet all the way, right? From an Aaron Rodgers touchdown to let's just go Jets. The Jets are in gear, right? Tim Powers, is Bruss ready to step in anywhere? I don't see Bruss at tackle. I think they flirted with that last summer, but he excelled this preseason at guard. And so I think that's where he's at. And he's the guy if Dotson can't go, right? That's what I think. I doubt very much they wouldn't kick him out to left tackle. You just wouldn't kick him out to left tackle. Warren McClendon staying at right tackle until Havenstein comes back. Do you switch Warren McClendon over to left tackle? So I think Bruss is set and locked at one of the guard spots. That's my belief. Willie Bowen, I'm angry that the Rams lost the game last night. Yeah, I could have been angrier. But I wasn't, because you could see that this is a really good team that plays hard. You just hopefully the mojo evens out in the back half of the season. Brian Smith, Tim Powers, good call. Forgot about Bruss. There you go. What an intelligent audience here. Thanks, guys. Tim Burns, Deshaun spends too much time in the massage parlors and strip clubs. Mama always says those places only lead to arrest, VD, or divorce. And picks, because he does not look good. He just does not look good at quarterback. He looks awful. Remember, what did he sat out all of 2021, was benched, was suspended for 11 games in 2022, was knocked out in November of last year. The guy hasn't played a lot of football. These last 4 years. Manuel Correa saying, what's up to everybody? Tim Burns, Goff doesn't have a ring, but he is 2-0 lately versus the Rams. You know what? I think the Rams are setting the Lions up for a 49er kind of beatdown. Hey, you could have this game and that game, but if they do face each other in the NFC title game, Rams are winning. I think the Rams have got their number. I think they got it when the Lions walk in through the door, and I think as long as they're healthy and go mano-a-mano and everything's being even, I think the Rams take the Lions next time, and I think the Rams take them by 2 possessions. I think I could see the Rams winning by 10 points next time they face the Lions if everybody healthy. Let's see here. Jared Verse is going to be a monster. Absolutely. I love it. If Havenstein comes back this week, McClendon can play left tackle. I do not know I have not seen McClendon play left tackle this summer. I don't know if he can just flip like that. We'll see. I hope so. Let's see. Kyron can't have 2.8 yards per carry. Yeah. Again, though, you're dealing with offensive line issues and stuff, and so I'm not too worried about that average right now. No, it needs to be kicked up. I'd like to see it at least at 3.5. Jared Verse gets a sack. Byron Young gets a sack. Jordan, next man up. Jordan Whittington, right? Getting snaps at key moments, getting the ball before 2-2. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Let's see. Brian Smith, McVay didn't sound positive about Have being back this week. He didn't sound super positive. So if he's not, then I could see McClendon being locked in at right tackle, and the Rams go on the market for a left tackle. Brian Smith, Bakhtiari is always injured. No thanks. But if I can get 4 weeks out of Bakhtiari, if I get 4 weeks out of him and he's in shape, preach. SM, good to see you. Dan Campbell played for the Bounty Gate Saints. Okay, but Dan Campbell's a good coach, and I always hear people trying to tear him down, and man, that guy, his team loves him. His team loves him. Let's see. Manuel, if Curry doesn't hold, Jordan has that TD. Yeah, it's a different game. The name game Rams crowd loves Bakhtari. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. Willie Bowen, the LA Rams defense didn't hit hard enough. Man, I thought they did. I was impressed with the Rams defense. I'm going to go a little more into the defense on Wednesday's show, but man, I thought the defense did a really good job. And I think it surprised even the Rams a little bit, and I'll get into that. Brian Smith, Aaron Rodgers has tattoos now. Willie Bowen, absolutely correct, amigo. Great to see you, Willie Bowen. Steve Ramirez, I wonder why Blake Corum was not used. The only thing I think I got into it just a little bit, if you saw McVay's interview, it was a little bit about, hey, the game plan went out the window, and so things were different. And he talked about Davis Allen and someone else not getting certain snaps they planned to get for them because of the game plan going out the window. I thought Colby Parkinson played well too, Willie. I did too. Hey, SM, don't do anything. I'm recording the game, man. 3 and out for the Whiners. I'm recording the game. Brian Smith, gives SM a thumbs up. Brian Smith, Alaric is back week 3. Yeah, and there's some of the things to think about as we go through the other side. Let me run through this real quick. I'll go straight to the Rams. I'll skip the college football report. We'll get to that towards the end. Rams update, if you look at the PFF grades, you got to look at them with a grain of salt. It's a starting place, but if you've been around football long enough, like a lot of you have to trust your eyes and not surrender the attained wisdom you have because somebody with a bigger platform says you should. For example, if you look at PFF, Matthew Stafford last night, PFF graded him 22 out of 30 quarterbacks that have played so far this year, a 51.8 rating. That is abysmal rating for a guy at quarterback and just completely off the mark that you can't trust the numbers. You can't trust the numbers when you're watching Matthew Stafford play. And they're really zinging him for the pick in the end zone. Kiss my mask on that. It's like the same people that would make the argument. They say, well, Colin Kaepernick had 14 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions his last year he played. And it's like, did you see him play? Did you see who he played against? Did you see what he did? And the numbers do not tell the truth in a football game. Matthew Stafford takes only a back seat right now to Pat Mahomes and maybe Josh Allen after what Josh Allen did yesterday. Matthew Stafford was amazing. So you don't trust the PFF all the time. The offensive line was nearly good enough to get this win. And the plan wasn't to lose your entire left side of your offensive line. Joe Noteboom played 27 snaps. Steve Avila played 37 snaps. We talked about their injuries. And Noteboom, of course, they graded him terribly. He gave up a sack. Avila gave up a sack. Curry, I thought, he struggled like a 7th rounder out of Michigan State 3 years ago that's only been appeared in 1 game. He struggled like you would expect him to, but I don't think he was an embarrassment. What did he play? 41, 51 snaps? I don't think he was an embarrassment. Obviously, you need an upgrade, but he was going against Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, cut the kid a little slack. Steve Avila and Jonah Jackson at left guard. Avila played 37 snaps. He graded out average. And same thing with Jonah Jackson. Bo Limmer taking over, played 41 snaps at center after Jonah Jackson moved over. That versatility between Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila really played out yesterday, didn't it? That you're able to move Jackson over. Limmer played 41 snaps, graded well, and Sean McVay has no problem talking about him, so Limmer is in the good graces of the Rams. Kevin Dotson graded out the same as Avila and Jackson, averaged okay. He played 78 snaps. The weird part is they said he was in a walking boot with a foot injury afterwards. And so we want to see how that shakes out. Warren McClendon played 78 snaps. PFF just torched him in the gradings. And am I saying he was great? No, I'm not saying he was great. But, on the right side of the line, the Rams didn't give up a sack. And the worst thing I would attach to Warren McClendon was the false start he had on the Rams' second to last possession of regulation that turned a 2nd and 12 into a 2nd and 17. But if the offensive line was as bad as the PFF grades say they were, Matthew Stafford would have left Ford Field in an ambulance, right? They would have left Ford Field in an ambulance, right? Just looking at the grades of the receivers and looking at how the receivers played, the plan wasn't to lose Puka Nacua. But boy, Tyler Johnson stepped up, right? What an investment by the Rams personnel scouting department. Pulling him in after, he was with the Buccaneers, looked like his career was in the bubble. Rams bring him in as an afterthought. He's practice squad most of the year. Makes a nice touchdown catch. I think it was in the 49er game last year. It looks like his time with the Rams is done, but they bring him back. They believe in him, and dare I say, develop them. Yarborough, at the wide receivers coach, and then they graded him poorly in run blocking because Ram receivers have to block. But look at the Kyron Williams touchdown. Look who gets the key block there. It's Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson did a great job. Oh, yeah, the catch and run was pretty fantastic too. Obviously, Jordan Whittington has risen in the ranks. He got on the field. Maybe it was game plan issues, but Tutu Atwell played just 6 snaps, no targets. You got to believe. You don't know because now with Nakua out, maybe the Rams might not be so hot on moving Atwell. But I would say if Nakua was still around, Atwell's days as a Ram are numbered because there's just nothing for him, right? Nothing for him. Colby Parkinson looked really good. Davis Allen only played 6 snaps. And it was interesting that McVay kind of attributed that a little bit to some of the game plan, that the game plan had to be thrown out the window. Allen had 1 target. He dropped a pass. It was hard, but he should have caught it, because he's going to make his living with his hands, not his shoulders as a blocker. Let's look at the rest of week 1 real quick here. Week 1, I went 6-9 in week 14 last year, and I went 6-9 so far this week, counting on the Jets to pull me out. I aimed more heart than head this week. I did take the KC over the Ravens, but I took the Packers over the Eagles, missed that one. I took the Falcons over the Steelers. I think Pittsburgh's going to have some problems, because not everyone's going to be as bad as the Falcons were. Steeler fan Rob needs some help, and it's fool's gold if you think Justin Fields is the guy. I might think about going TJ Watt at quarterback and running some kind of wishbone because they're in trouble in Pittsburgh. Cardinals, Bills. I don't know why the Bills farted around with the Cardinals for so long. Gave them a kick return for a touchdown. Kyler Murray moved around pretty good. He ran for 57 yards, only 5 rushes. He only averaged 5 yards an attempt. Marvin Harrison only caught 1 pass. Josh Allen threw for 2, ran for 2, and basically he pulled the rabbit out of his hat and got the Bills the win. And the Bills need to make a move. They need some help there for Josh Allen. Titans, Bears, it's the only one I got right this week. I said it'd be sloppy. It was sloppy. And about the only thing Caleb Williams accomplished was a 2-point conversion to DeAndre Swift, blocked kick, interception return for touchdown. Patriots, Bengals, what a disaster. I took the Bengals. I thought it was going to be a blowout. Could you imagine paying for this game? I don't think I've ever been so wrong. And I'm talking about Cincy. Cincy was terrible. Houston and the Colts. Hey, Texans answered a challenge. Colts gave it to him. Anthony Richardson's that guy you see in the commercials that they show him throwing a pass and it goes around the world. That's Anthony Richardson, if you see that guy. The only problem with Anthony Richardson is I think he's paying a little bit of the price for missing most of his rookie year. I think he's going to be okay if he could just continue to develop and stay healthy. Stop trying to muscle up on linebackers all the time. Jaguars, Dolphins. Jaguars had a shot here. Tyreek goes for 80 yards after a fumble. And when the Jaguars could have got deep control of the game, Dolphins win. Saints, Panthers, man, I was wrong. Carolina HC David Canales should already be on the hot seat. Bryce Young, 13 for 32 picks. No bueno, man. No bueno. Derek Carr looked like a young Derek Carr again. Vikings, Giants. I took the G-men because everyone was going against the G-men. I should have gone against the G-men. Minnesota wins 28-6. J.K. Dobbins, 135 yards. Bolts win a close game. Bolts never win close games. Now that Harbaugh's there, they win a close game. Broncos, Seahawks. I took the Broncos. Seattle won 26-20. I know Hawk fans are excited, but I think they should heed the words of the wolf. I don't think they should get too excited. Same thing with the Cowboy fans, 33-17. I did not expect the Browns to play so poorly at home to open the season, but I think the Dallas is fool's gold, and support them at your own risk. And then Tampa Bay, 37-20 over the Texans. Baker Mayfield, 24 for 30, almost 9.5 yards, 9.6 yards per attempt. Buccaneers are my new favorite to win the NFC South. I couldn't believe how bad the Falcons looked. So I got the Jets winning tonight, and that's where we go. All right, let's see here. All right, let's look at the questions.
It was a stone,
Okay,
my man.
let's look at the questions. Williams, Wildman Samurai, I'm honestly looking towards next year already. Those injuries are insurmountable. I swear our guy's made out of cardboard. Next year's Super Bowl bound. Don't lose hope, Wildman. These injuries are not season enders. Tremaine Ankrum was season ending. Joe Noteboom was season ending. David Andrews had the concussion that just takes forever to come back from. David Edwards, sorry. I'm going through the list of 2022. These were season-ending injuries that happened to that offensive line in 2022. These ones are 4 weeks on IR, and so don't lose hope yet. Don't lose hope yet. Steeler fan Rob, what did I just tell somebody else? Don't tell me. I'm doing the show, man. I got the game recording. Niners just forced a fumble. And I don't want to. Steeler fan Rob will always be the guy that tells you the score of a game that you're recording. Tim Burns, Allen dropped that pass. My first thought was he dropped a pass and put a place on a depth chart. It was catchable. Yeah, he should have caught it. Tim Powers, very impressed with Stafford's escapability, and no one gives him credit for it. Dan O, good to hear you from Dan O. Noteboom is made out of glass. Alaric Jackson let us down. I agree. I don't understand Alaric Jackson, whatever he did, personal conduct. The guy worked so hard to get in this position, and he really put himself in jeopardy. And Noteboom, somebody made a comment. I think it was on this morning's podcast, the recap that I did, that said Noteboom's that worker that's out on disability all year and then comes back and is on light duty and then gets a hangnail and is out again. Man, Noteboom just can't stay healthy. Brian Smith, Rams are going to patchwork the OL. They aren't bringing in a bunch of free agents until absolutely needed. I am concerned what they're going to do at left tackle this week. I'm Tim Burns. I'm 10-5. I am 10-5. Does that mean you think the Rams will win 10 games this year? 10 and a half games? Rob Sorge, Steeler fan Rob, you're just like Coward, always putting the Steelers down and keep on winning. Hey, the message you sent me this morning, Steeler fan Rob, was this. I don't know if we're going to win another game this year. That's what you said. All right, we're going to save college football report for Wednesday, and because I don't think there's a game between now and then. Just looking at stuff on Rams history. Not a whole lot there. Interesting one on this date in 2012, the Rams lost to Detroit 27-23. The Detroit quarterback, Matthew Stafford, threw for 355 yards and had a 5-yard touchdown pass to Kevin Smith with 10 seconds left for the Lions to beat the Rams. Put that one in your pipe and smoke it. On this day in 2001, the Rams went into Philly, won 20-17 in overtime. Jeff Wilkins won the game with a 26-yard field goal. Everyone forgets how great Jeff Wilkins was. And let's look at tomorrow, since we're not on the air. Actually, September 10th, this is another irony thing. September 10th, 1937, the Rams played their first ever game. And they lost at home to the Lions 28-0. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was interesting. Also tomorrow, September 10th, 1989, Rams win in Atlanta, but Deion Sanders has a 60-yard punt return touchdown for his first touchdown of his career. Jim Everett goes 46 yards to Henry Ellard. Greg Bell rushes for 120 yards and scores 2 touchdowns. Okay, a lot of other stuff here. Boom, boom, boom. On 2017, 2010, Sean McVay's very first game as head coach, Tremaine Johnson, LaMarcus Joyner both have pick sixes, and Jared Goff connects 18 yards to Cooper Kupp. And a year ago tomorrow, Rams won in Seattle 30-13, and a guy named Puka Nacua catches 10 passes for 119 yards. Tutu Atwell also had 119 yards receiving. So there we go. It is 38 minutes. I do want to get you guys to the game. And Tim Burns, yep, Steeler fan Rob doesn't trust in Watt. Okay. All right. College football, a lot of stuff to talk about there. I still have the same number one team, but college football is also going to be bleeding over because you already want to talk about the players you saw who would be hot for next year. Miller Moss, Cam Ward from Miami, and Riley Leonard seems to just be disappearing. People were so high on him this time a year ago. And Shadur Sanders, what a disaster this year is turning into him for him. Talent is everywhere with him, but his head's not right. Kind of punky. And the biggest test of Deion Sanders' character will he put in a generation, which is 4 more years at Colorado after his son leaves. You know, if he leaves with his son, unless it's the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job, I think Deion Sanders has just proved himself to be a fraud, and I'm rooting for Deion. I love everything that's done in Colorado because I think it's a snapback to the NCAA and everything they've done to everyone else. He's doing what the NCAA has been doing to everybody. He says, "Hey man, we're just going to play to win. We got a professional football team here." So I want Deion Sanders to be successful, but he owes it to stay there after his son goes. All right. Why is Deion still a coach? I don't know. We're going to find out, right? We're going to find out. We'll know that answer after Shadur graduates, right? Or runs out of playing eligibility. Okay, guys, I think we got it in there today. 40 minutes. I know you want to watch the game, and I think my family's waiting for me to go to dinner. So, all right. God bless. Talk to you soon. Thanks for clicking on. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.